Hey guys, welcome to another developer interview here without Parole. With me this week is Olov Redmalm, creative director and concept artist over at Zoink Games, developers of my new favorite game, Ghost Giant. Olov, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet you, and nice to see you all, or talk to you all.
Coming all the way from Sweden, right?
Yeah. I'm currently visiting my mom and dad for Easter celebrations. So, yeah, I managed to find a little quiet corner, and my dad is out on the balcony smoking a cigar. So while I'm doing the interview, so
We'll have
I'm
to
good.
we'll have to get them to join us in a little bit. Get the whole family together
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
fucking interview.
yeah.
They can tell us embarrassing stories about your childhood.
Yeah. No, please.
When you feel sad and lonely, friendship may come. From where you least expect it.
Listen, man. Let's talk a little bit about Zoink Games before we even get to Ghost Giant. I feel you guys have made so many games over the last. I mean, how many years? Like, where did Zoink Games even come together?
Oh, I'm actually a bit uncertain of. I should learn that. I should learn our history, but I've been at Zoink for maybe 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, it's 2 years, 9 months, and I think we've been around for like at least 10 years. I hope I got that right, something like that. And it started out with Klaus Lingeled, and who's our CEO, and just generally a very creative guy coming up with. He actually came up with a concept for Ghost Giant to begin with, and came to me and told me about the concept, and yeah, there were just a few guys creating main. They were doing commissions mostly for for Disney, I think, and yeah, just taking odd jobs here and there, and when they but it wasn't until we made Stick It to the Man. I didn't work on Stick It to the Man personally, but that's when they could finally start making their own games instead of doing stuff for other companies.
And it seems like that's kind of when Zoink Games sort of also found their own voice and found their own art style, and everything kind of has a Zoink look to it from that point on.
Right. Yeah, it's very much again Klaus Lingeled, his style that kind of kind of runs through the whole. Like every project has his influence in it. Yeah.
So tell me about when you joined the team. What were the first games you worked on with Zoink?
I joined actually Fe just when we started. When they, I think it was right after the summer when Zoink had gotten the deal with EA and announced it at E3. So we were kind of starting fresh, or like we were going through. When I joined as an intern, we were reworking old levels, and since we had a lot bigger budget, they were reworking the basics, and yeah, I joined as a concept artist. I drew all of the hieroglyphs in the game, and I got to try out working some with story, and yeah, that's how I started out. And I also jumped a bit between Fe and Flipping Death. We were working on both games at the same time back then. Yeah, so.
Now, as far as Ghost Giant's concerned, like this is obviously like Zoink's first dive into virtual reality. Was this ever planned as anything else, or was this like you're like, okay, we this is from the get go, from the initial vision, the concept? Was it always planned to be a virtual reality game?
Yeah, definitely. It was. Yeah, as I said, Klaus first came to me and basically said, "What if you're a giant ghost?" And he already had already then he wanted it to be called Ghost Giant, and just make it a very simple, very clear concept of. Like we at Sonic, we always just like we want to try new things with every project, and with Flipping Death we have the flipping mechanic that was kind of the core, and here It was just for us to try something entirely new and unexplored VR, which also Klaus is just a very big VR nerd. I think the biggest VR nerd on the office, and he tries everything. And he comes in the morning and like, oh, I tried this new boxing game, and oh, we tried Beat Saber, and yeah, he just really saw the potential in how direct direct VR is, and how you really remove the wall between the player and characters, and there's another level to the immersion there. So yeah, but he wanted to make a game about a giant ghost that rescues a little kid from drowning. So that much of the story was kind of decided from the get-go, and it wasn't until we created our first prototype, written a script for just a level where Louis is you meet him for the first time in the city, and we had different voice actors and everything, and we made the prototype. We used it to pitch the material, and once we had a deal with Sony, we brought in Sarah B. Elfgren, who we just happened to stumble across over Twitter because she knew Alexandra Dahlberg, our community manager. They had a friend in common who just tweeted, what if you guys would make a game together? That would be awesome. And we made a game together. So and the rest is history. So and then she really brought a new depth to the story, I think. Yeah.
So when games like Moss or Along Together came around, and you guys were like, still working on Ghost Giant, did you get nervous at all and go, oh no, they totally took our idea?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were definitely we felt the pressure on another level, and we were. I'm not sure. We actually had some kickoffs where we played VR games together, and Moss was one of the games we played together and took turns, and we played. I don't remember what it's called now, but it was a VR game from Tarsier Studios, and accounting from Squanch Games. And I myself was very new to VR, and Klaus kind of handed me the project to finish it, and from there, and we played Moss together, and we're just baffled at how amazing they made it look. And I think the light is baked, and we really scratched our heads to how can they make it run so smoothly and look so nice. And the animation is also just mind-blowingly.
So what was Ghost Giant looking like then? Like, did you have before you played these games? Like, did you have kind of a different vision in mind, or did these inspire you to change it at all, or did you just kind of follow the set path you had in mind?
No, I think we had very much this, like the core idea and concept was pretty much set in stone from the start. It was just mainly just how we would do it, and the graphics and just how we would solve storytelling, because we wanted to push more for storytelling, and saw that there aren't that many titles that really focus on the narrative that way. So we really felt like here's where we can try to explore something new and try to invent. It's really, I really loved how how unexplored VR is, and how there's so much to try out and invent for yourself. It's scary, but it's a lot of fun. But back then we had we had some, the harbor in the game was one of the first levels we worked on, and it was the hardest to back then we hadn't learned so much, or we had to go back there later in the development to fine tune a lot of puzzles, and back then everything was quite static, and it's a bit scary how I worked a lot with the narrative design for the game, and it's a bit scary how you can't just try a scene with you bring out the actors, try the scene, does it work, but you have to wing it and trust the writer and the voice actors, and then trust that the animation will come together in the end, and luckily I think it did. It was a lot of a big challenge was to try, and there was a lot we wanted to tell, and to try and keep the dialogue short and not the fine balance of like wanting the player to look at an important story beat, but not feeling bored or the thing going on for too long. So there was a lot of tweaking there and cutting of dialogue and trying to come up with fun stuff happening while story beats were going on. And yeah.
The voice acting is incredible. I don't speak any other languages, so I didn't check out any of the other language tracks. But man, if any of the other ones are nearly as good as the English ones, I mean, we're pretty blown away over here. Just by drawing that, there's a fine line, you know. They're cartoon characters, so they can't just speak normally. But like at the same time, they convey so much emotion, like as a human would, and you guys just killed it. I don't know if that was the writing or if that was the voice acting itself, or a combination of the two. But congratulations on that. We were like Des and I were talking the other day, and we were just totally blown away by it.
Oh, cool. Thanks. We have a definitely an amazing library of amazing voice actors that we have worked with since Flipping Death and Stick to the Man. So there are a bunch of new ones, but Karen Kahler, who made an amazing job for acting Pauline. The mother, she was Priscilla, an old lady in Flipping Death, and Kim Lin Tran, who voice acted Louis. She is Tina in Flipping Death. Really crazy kid, but yeah, everyone's really great, and we were lucky to have made contact with all of them. Yeah.
Nice. I've got to ask, like, so much of this game reminded me of an old LucasArts or Lucasfilm adventure game, like the kind of some of the you know the goofy things that you have to do, and some of the things that are happening around you as you're solving puzzles. Is that an influence that you have or anyone on the team has? Old point and click adventure games?
Yeah, definitely, and Monkey Island and Psychonauts and especially Klaus has a lot of history with that. And while we were beginning with we were starting out with Ghost Giant, we were still working on both Fe and Flipping Death, and Flipping Death especially, that was very puzzle oriented. We were already in that mindset, and how do we bring this to VR? And it was kind of a natural, fun way to try. Like in like you say, in reality, it's like a point and click, but we take it all forward to being like a poke and grab and in-house, what we call it. But definitely, it's definitely a main inspiration to try and take that to a next. Take it to VR.
I don't think we can get too far into this interview without discussing the story, and obviously we don't want to spoil it for anybody. But it's an emotional story, and it's very touching and poignant, and resonated with me particularly in ways that I don't think any game ever has before. Was this story taken from someone's history, someone's personality, someone's personal experiences? Do you know?
Well, it's Sarah Bjelfgren who took the story and came up with this. Originally, Louis was being bullied, and that's not so much the issue in this story. But she had read an article about a young kid who had to take care of his siblings because of his parents not being able to, and she was inspired by that, and also from own experiences, as I understand. And we were all just when she sent us the synopsis, we were all very just eager to, like, everyone had some, as you say, we felt that we could relate to her story, and during the I think it really brought together the team, like everybody felt connected, and we would be discussing animations or the story or effects, or and talk about how would I feel, how would I look, or how would I move if I was feeling a certain way, and we were kind of inadvertently beginning to talk about our own experiences through the project, and I think it really it was kind of a unique way of a very unique, special project for me. With like we were just about 10 people, and it became we were very closely knit, and I know our producer Sebastian Strand was especially like he would, you know, did a hell of a job keeping everything in check and making sure that we had time to create everything we wanted for the game, and he would, you know, when we got the voice acting in there and animations, one day it clicked and he came out and was like, oh, it's working. So that was really rewarding. But yeah, it was a really good atmosphere in the team, and Sarah also spoke to child psychiatrist to like check the manuscript, and she thought it was solid and made sense, but also added that and not always just things, and I won't say how it. I'll avoid spoiling the story, but never mind. Sorry.
It's a pretty beautiful world, man. I mean, like there's so many different components that all come together to make Ghost Giant, you know, the beautiful game that it is, from the soundtrack and everything else. But man, the first thing you notice is definitely how amazing the world looks. You know, when you're PlayStation VR, I mean, you know, we get it. It's like, you know, it's running on PlayStation 4 Pro hardware, so it's like you understand there's some limitations. But this is one of those games where you drop into it and you suddenly get that wow immersion factor that, like, maybe if you've played too many VR games you start to lose. But this one, just like, you know, it looks crystal clear, and all the world is made of, like, you know, paper craft and tacks and nails and cardboard. What was the inspiration for the design style?
Well, definitely. I mean, generally, to begin with, throughout Zoink's games, I mean, both Stick It to the Man and Flipping Death had a kind of cardboard, homemade feel, and we wanted to continue exploring that with Ghost Giant, but also here it got a kind of a new meaning, because we wanted to make it feel like, what if it was Louis or a kid who had built this, and you know everybody had experiences of building Legos or building building your own little cities of cardbox, and wishing that your toys would come alive and have a life of their own, kind of, and I know I did, and just try to channel that energy and try to get back to that kid that we all have inside of us, and that same feeling. Try to remember how that was when you had time to totally immerse yourself and disappear into this world, and it made sense for the story as well to because you would escape into these kind of worlds when things were tough, or you didn't like school, or it fits Louis' character as well. It feels like his and it's a quick shout out to Leo Brynjelsson, who worked on the environment art and the textures, and he did basically all of that, and it's very much his like walking around in Ghost Giant is basically taking a walk in his heart. I would say so, and everybody had and also the characters that are the concept that they were drawn by Stina Ram and modeled by Maria Svenningsson, and they were supposed to look like tiny little toys, but it was a challenge to make them look like toys without losing any life in them, so we came up with this system for the for the facial expressions and a lot of over exaggerated animation, and it's great that it's cartoony, that when it's so small and that it's cartoony, it's okay to squash and stretch the characters a lot, and they have what's it called, they're built in parts so their arms aren't like, it sounds more morbid, but their legs and arms aren't entirely connected. So then you can work even more with stretching when you poke someone, and like, woo, like the head jumps off its shoulders and then back on, and kind of Toy Story feeling to it. So yeah, just toys and the mini landscapes, and also story-wise, we've working with story and narration in Ghost Giant. We thought of the feeling of going to a theater or play and how they dim the lights, and people outside the sea, or like outside the spotlight freeze up or and everything. Yeah, that kind of feeling is what we also wanted to bring into the narration part of the game. Yeah,
that even obviously comes across on the scene select screen as well, with the curtains close and open up and everything. It's a nice look to it for sure. You'd mentioned sort of in passing that there were all these different elements that were sort of in the story, or sort of or at least in the conceptual stages, that Louis at one point had siblings, that at the beginning of the game you were supposed to meet him by saving him from drowning, that he was bullied. These all sound like awesome little things that like left on the cutting room floor, or just weren't part of the overall narrative for the final product. But did anything get closer to completion? Like, did you actually like create anything that didn't get put into the final game?
Yeah. There were we would after Sarah and I had worked out the story details and the puzzles together. It was really nice. We really wanted to bring in the a writer into the project from early on, and really, instead of having it something you plaster on afterwards to save a project, just from day one, go back and forth with Sarah. So she would give me the synopsis, I would write puzzles on that, and I would give that to her. She would be like, "Oh, okay, cool, but can the bike be a car instead?" Or no, and she would write dialogue, and I would feedback. We would just go back and forth, and after that we would show the script to Sebastian, our producer, who had I got to be the cool uncle who's like, "Hey, what if we have this and that?" And Sebastian had to be like, "No, we have to cut the Star Destroyer, and we have to." Yes, but I think the honest parts, there were we had to cut a bit of it. Like, there was a whole level around Madame Melville, the crime novelist, and how Louis would help her find inspiration for her next crime novel. And that was a whole level, and you would actually be inside her like huge big library or office kind of, which I thought was cozy, and we didn't have time, so we kind of merged that together with the Debussy storyline, and how he said, I think we also had the part where you find music for him still in the original script. We had in the original script we had room for both him and Madame Melville, but yeah, she's still there at least, and talking about the novel and working on her next novel, and there was some part with you had to hurry back. There was a whole thing about you would go to a family of oxes or like ox people, and it sounds weird, but no, generally I think we besides the Melville part, I think we actually managed to make everything we wanted to. We had some, the cloud scene, the riding Louis around with riding a cloud around with Louis on it, was already on the synopsis, and shrinking was also a huge thing that we had in mind initially, and we also like the music for the game by Joel Bille and Bortre Rymden, which is kind of outer space in Swedish, the outer space. They made the music, and they had actually made main theme for Ghost Giant before they were on the project, and he showed us at the time. Joel was working for soundtrack for Fe, and he showed us this thing he had been working on in the free time, and he said, I think this could fit Ghost Giant really well. And it did, and it fit even better when we changed the setting from an American small town to a French small town. It was kind of more, somehow felt more like that for some reason, more fitting somehow. Originally we had talked about a jazzy soundtrack for an American small town. And that scene already then, when I heard that song, I felt like this song has to be in the cloud scene when you ride that cloud, and it was nice to have those kind of like. It was really nice to have a full script from the beginning and know exactly like this scene. I look forward to working on this scene, and as long as we get this scene to work, I think it's going to work out, and everything else will fall into place. And yeah.
Did you have any idea how effective shrinking the giant would be? Like because obviously you said that was in the that was something you had planned to do, but until it actually happens to you, until you start shrinking down and seeing things from a different perspective, you have no idea how impactful that is. Did you guys have any idea how impactful it would be before you actually experienced it for yourself?
I think we believed that would be really impactful as long as we could make it work. We weren't sure of how exactly to do it, and we have actually, there's a scene where you open the house and Louis walks in, and when you shrink, we actually have a scene in Unity. We have the same. We have that shrinked version scene outside, far away beyond the skybox of the original scene. So we didn't have to have any loading time in between, for instance, and solutions like that. And it was really hard to. We were kind of second guessing ourselves, like, will this be too much? Shrinking and will people get nauseous but we felt like it might be, if anywhere, it might be, that's a good place to get a little bit nauseous or a little bit like whoa, because it kind of fits the overwhelming. So we went with actually to begin with, you wouldn't move, it just faded to black, and then you were like just step by step you would teleport closer. But we went finally with actually moving. I mean, because they're like, we settled for that because we've seen other games where you actually were moving around is a constant part of the game, and I at least get very nauseous. So I felt like we could let ourselves have a little bit of movement at least. But we really wanted to try and make a nausea-free game and make it a calm experience.
I know that since this is your first VR game, like I don't know if there are plans for other VR games from Zoink, but it's I mean, I don't know of a better way to say it, but other than it's like a total success, like one of our favorite games on PlayStation VR, coming from somebody who's played like every single PlayStation VR game.
Thank you so much. It's so great to hear.
Well, I mean, thanks for making it. It wasn't something I was looking forward to it because I was like, oh, this looks cute. This looks fun, and I think whenever you see somebody on Reddit talk about, oh hey, I just started playing Ghost Giant, it's adorable, those are the words they use at the beginning. And then at the end they're like, this game was emotional, this game was touching, that kind of thing. But I wanted to play it because it was adorable, and then but I ended up loving it for a completely different reason. So what's I guess my question is there going to be a Ghost Giant 2? Is there going to be another VR game from Zoink? Because I really, really hope there is.
we definitely are talking about it, and about there are a lot of ideas. Everybody is coming with ideas, and Klaus also, our boss and who worked on the game, like the first prototype, also has a lot of great ideas. We're talking a lot about new settings, but also about a potential Ghost Giant 2. Right now we're working on a flat screen title, but so that's taking up a lot of our time. But we're already dreaming, and I think we are not done with VR. This has just made us even more. And then, I mean, especially before Ghost Giant, when I first started, I was a bit worried, like, oh, can I really, like, I was very new to VR, and I was worried that I would get nauseous working on it, always taking on and off and testing, and but it's really grown on me, and I also now I really look forward to going back and exploring new ideas, or potentially a Ghost Giant 2. That would have been awesome. I wonder what that would be about, but yeah.
Excellent, man. Well, make sure you keep us informed. Anything VR related that Zoink does in the future, we absolutely want to know about. So keep us in the loop, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon, man. Hopefully we can catch up soon.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and hope you guys enjoy Ghost Giant and all.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
All right, so that about does it for another developer interview here without Parole. I want to thank Olov so much for taking time out from his parents' house in Sweden to talk to us about Ghost Giant. If you haven't already, go check out my review. If you're not totally sold on it, it's really something you should consider, even if it doesn't look like your kind of game. Simply one of the best games on PlayStation VR. So that's it. Make sure you come back next Saturday for another developer interview here without Parole. As always, I'm Brian Paul, and I love you all.